And we are going live. Yep. Let's see. Live video is starting. I think that we do a countdown here. Yep. I think we do. We do a countdown here. It's Marvelous Monday. Yes, it is. It is Marvelous Monday, and it is a cold Marvelous Monday on the pond. Yep. Maureen Baker here from the studio on the pond in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. Yep. Um, and I have to tell you, I was asked to paint some sky, do some more focus on some sky and some sea, and I think that'll be fun. So I am going to get started. I'm hoping that, not sure what's going on, but let me check, make sure I'm live. That'd be good, huh? I think it would. Let me see. Am I live? Okay. Nope, don't want to do that. Maureen Baker, and I am live. Okay. Alrighty. So, it's cold, for sure. So, Yvonne wants me to do some sky work. So today is acrylic day. Yep, it is. Today's acrylic day, and you wouldn't believe what a mess my bench is, but that's all right. I'm going to flip it down and make some adjustments. Yeah, I am going to make some adjustments. Let's see. Is it going to let me do that? No. No. Let's see if I go like this. No, I don't want to do that either. Oh, I don't want to fall off the edge here. But I can push this back. Yep, that's one of my photos. And let's see. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay. And yeah, I decided to change. Switch to toolbar mode. There we go. Here we go. A little bit more. Nope. A little bit less. Okay. Here we are. And we're going to do it a little bit unusually. I'm going to do a little bit of sand and rock first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix raw umber and warm white. Yep, I am. Going to mix raw umber and warm white. 1-to-1. All right. And that is a good basis for my rocks. Then I'm going to mix raw umber and warm white. 2 parts warm white to 1 part raw umber. And that is a great basis for sand. And we're going to mix that up good. And that's a little bit lighter. And it's still not quite as light. Yeah, I think that's light enough. Okay. And I'm going to take, what am I going to take? I'm going to take a 3/4 brush. You should see my bench. It's a bit of a mess. So we're going to take a 3/4 inch brush, and I'm going to just sketch in some sand. This is going to be sand. Yep. Where the sea comes in, and we're going to work on that a little bit. And we're just sketching it in. This is a little bit loose. Yeah, we're doing it a little bit loose. All right. Marvelous Monday at 4. Yep, okay. Then we're going to take the darker one and we're going to go in the opposite direction and we're going to bring in some rocks. All right. All right. Here we go. And we're going in a couple of different directions as we bring the rocks in. There we go. And this is just the basis for the rocks. Yep, I'll continue this over a couple of weeks like I did the iris and oil. And it'll be fun. We'll do a few seagulls in here. And we're going to do some water in here. And the rocks are going to really evolve. This is just the basis for them. Yep, Marvelous Mondays. And don't forget about Thankful Thursdays, although I'm not on this week on Thursday. I will be in San Diego seeing my beautiful daughter. Yes, I will. All right. And we have a great program. We have painting journey in both oils and acrylics. And it's really been fun. We're getting it off the ground and having some fun with it. Different kind of techniques. There we go. And that's a good basis. The rocks, I am going to give them a crisper edge than that. There. I do want them to have a crisper edge. There. All right. And that's a good basis for the rocks. And I'm going to dry them. Yeah. I'm going to dry it. And then I'm going to start the sky. All right. And we're going to start with a mix of probably 4 parts warm white. 1, 2, 3, 4. To 1 part ultramarine blue. All right. Yeah. Here we are on Marvelous Monday. And yeah, I only have one. Oh, I have about 3 of them right here. We're going to mix that together. That's going to give us a nice, light, beautiful blue. All right. All right. Then we're going to put out some warm white. And we're going to put out some ultramarine blue. The ultramarine blue, we're going to mix with a tiny touch of pine green. Yeah, a tiny touch of pine green. It's not a tiny touch, but there we go. We just pull a pile out. So it's going to give us, we're going to need to add a little bit more blue to that. Yep. We are. So that's ultramarine blue and pine green. It's going to give us a nice sea color. There we go. Okay. We're going to start again with our 3/4 inch. And we're going to start at the top. Okay? And we're going to come down and we're going to go right across the whole surface. This is an 11 by 14, which makes it a little bit bigger to see everything, but you're going to see the important stuff. All right, and as you come on, it would be great if you could like, comment, and share. Yeah. Like, comment, and share. I really would appreciate it. Okay, we're going to come down here with this mix. All right. We are going to put in a tiny touch of straight ultramarine blue. Side load my brush, side load the other side, and we're going to add a little bit of dark to the top of the sky. A little bit more, just to the top. There we go. It's a nice day though, so it's going to stay nice and blue. We're not putting any gray in it. Nope. A little bit more blue. And this does not have to be absolutely perfectly solid. All right? No, it doesn't. All right. Side load into my mix. As it comes down and hits the horizon line, it does get lighter. I'm going to add a little bit more water to my brush. A little bit more ultramarine blue. There. All righty. And like I said, as it comes down, it gets a little lighter. I'm going to add in a little warm white. And we're going to start to add in our sea. Okay? Yeah, our sea is going to start to come in. So I'm going to take this right about here. There we go. That's good. All right. And this is just the beginning. So that, now I have to tell you, your horizon line needs to be nice and straight. So if I want to bring that up a little bit, I have to go straight across. Watch where you're going, not where you've been. There we go. That's a little greener than I want it to be, but that's all right. We're going to do lots of great stuff to it. And I'm building this as I go. So, you know, there's some changes that I'll make along the way. All right. As I come in, I'm going to add a little bit more ultramarine blue to this. There, that's better. All right. We can cut right into the rocks because the rocks aren't even close to being done. All right. There. Now, we're going to start to bring in the water into the sand. All right. And as it comes in, I'm going to add some of this light sky blue. Just to start to bring in the water right over the sand and bring it out. Okay? We're going to go back and forth a little bit as we bring the water in right over the sand. And we're going to just soften it out as we go. All right? And when the water comes in to the shore, it's not perfectly even. All right, it comes in like that. And then it gets some white in it. There we go. As it comes into the shore. There we go. All right, I'm gonna mix up a little bit more of this green and pine green and ultramarine blue, because I'm not quite done. Just a little bit of pine green into the ultramarine. We don't want it to be a lot. We're just tinting it. And if you're in the Bahamas, you use aquamarine. There we go. Okay. Now, you have to remember something about water. The deeper it is, the darker the hue, whatever hue you're using. All right? That shows the depth of the water. Now, the reflection of the water is also a reflection of whatever's on the bottom. So if the bottom is a really white sand, the water is going to remain to be pretty light all the way up. All right, and we're going to just soften that in as we go. And I'm going to put some water on my brush. All right, and there we go. And the sea is not perfectly blended. We don't want it perfectly blended. There we go. You're going to have some light areas and some dark areas. Yep, we're going right over the rocks. There we go. Okay. Add a little bit of light, the sky color, back in here. Back in here. And this shore, all of these reference photos are out of New Hampshire. I have to tell you that the shore in California is a slightly different color. And the shore in the Bahamas is very different. There we go. All right, and that's a very good start. Now I'm going to clean off my brush. And I am going to add, I have to make one adjustment before, because if I mix this color again, it might not be exactly the same. And I want that horizon line to be nice and straight. There we go. There we go. And I lifted a little bit off here. We're going to let that dry, and if I have to come back in and touch it up today, I will. They seem to be there. Okay? I'm going to clean off my brush now. And I am going to add a little bit more, ultramarine blue to this upper corner right in here. There we go. Just a little bit. Lifting up because I don't want brush marks. It doesn't have to be perfectly emulsified. We're not base coating. It's airy. But I do want that upper corner to be a little bit darker. I'm going to add even a little bit more ultramarine blue. All right. A little bit more ultramarine blue. Soften it out, lifting up on the pressure in my brush, and that's good. Now, I'm going to drop down a lot of brush sizes. Let's see what I got handy here. What is this? This is a 12. This is going to be good. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of cloud work. We're going to start the clouds off. And I'm going going to put out some warm white. Yep, it's Marvelous Monday. I'm going to put out some warm white. I'm going to wet my brush. And I'm going to side load. Okay, see? Oh, I side loaded. Blend it out on my palette. Okay, excuse me. We're going to bring in some clouds now, and we're going to barely touch down. All right, and we're just going to paint in some clouds. And the clouds are going to be all different. All right, it's not a stormy day, and these clouds are going to remain pretty light. All right. Then we're going to have some space with no clouds. Here we go. And there's not a lot of paint on my brush. It's very well blended out in my palette. And we don't put a tremendous amount of pressure on the brush. All right. There we go. All right. Over here, I'm going to put in a big cloud. Yeah, I'm going to put in a big cloud. Yeah, my painting journey program, we do all kinds of things. I had done a tremendous amount of petal painting, and one of the girls had asked me to do some work on skies and clouds, and I decided to do that for her. So we're working on that for the next couple of weeks on Marvelous Monday. I won't be on next Monday. I'll be flying in from San Diego next Monday. Now, I got a little bit more blue in here white in here than I wanted, and I'm not going to worry. I'm going to just go back in with some ultramarine blue, and I'm going to soften that out. See that? And I can even put in a little bit more blue, just like that. And I would appreciate it if you could like, share, and comment. And if there's something special that you would like me to work on Marvelous Monday, Marvelous Mondays is in acrylic. Thankful Thursdays is in oil. And look at those clouds. It's a nice day. This was a beautiful day at the shore. This reference is from probably 35 years ago. So these rocks probably still aren't even there. I am going to add a little tiny bit more white up in here. There we go. Now you have to remember that today we're working in acrylics. And acrylics dry an entire value darker. And the other thing you want to pay very close attention to here is the amount of pressure that you put on your brush is going to release the amount of paint. All right. Again, I added a little bit more than I wanted to, so we're just going to go in there with some ultramarine blue. I have to make sure I'm not mumbling, and we're just going to soften that out. See that? And one of the most important things I'd like to be able to convey to you, to teach you, is not to worry. If you start to paint with enough confidence that you can fix anything that you want to, you're going to paint, you're going to enjoy your painting more, and you're going to create beautiful things easier. There we go. And a little bit more warm white. going to add a little bit more to this one right here. And have it go out in a couple of different ways, which it did do. And then over here, I'm going to push down a little bit. We're going to add a tiny, itsy bitsy, teeny weeny bit of light pink over here. Just because that's what it did. There, look at that. So I'm going to take I'm going to take alizarin crimson. I should have had it out, but I didn't. How many is alizarin? It's over here. Now what I want in the sky is a tiny hint of pink. All right, a tiny hint of pink. All right, I'm going to clean my brush off. And I'm going to go into warm white and alizarin crimson. Way too much color. There we go. Mostly warm white. And we're going to touch down, and we're just going to add a tiny bit of this over here to the sky. Just a tiny bit of hint of pink. All right, remember that the more pressure you put on your brush, the more paint is going to come out. And I think that that is good. Maybe a little more down in here. There we go. All right. And I think that that's going to be good for today. I think we'll add a little bit of white just to this area as it's coming into the shore. There. There, a little bit of white. And then we'll continue next week. No, not next week, the week after. We will continue working on this. There. There. Okay, that's a great beginning. All right, so I hope to see you all in a couple of weeks. I'll be having a great time with my daughter in San Diego. So remember, I'd love to have you like, comment, and share. That's really helpful. And we'll see you all soon. Have a great afternoon.